Hey everybody, welcome back to Empower. This is Kim, and it has been a long time since I recorded a video. There was a time about a year ago, or a little over a year, when I was posting these every Monday, like clockwork, faithfully. And then what started out as a brief hiatus turned into a long break. I needed it. I'm thankful for it. I was still active on Facebook, but YouTube was a bit challenging for me, this format. But I am back and I'm excited. So this first video back is going to be about friendship. For those of you who don't know, I'll give you a little background about what Empower is for. God gave it to me to help to enlighten, encourage, and empower women to walk in their God-given identity and not be bound by what society says we should or should not be. And it's a part of who I've always been. I'm a champion of women, and it's important for us to be who God has called us to be and not allow society to say, you can only do this, or you should be this, or you shouldn't be that. I firmly believe that our identity was given to us by God because He's our creator and maker. And so He should influence what we say, do, think, and believe that we can be. So here we have changed our confession, and we agree with God about who He says that we are. And so that's the premise of what all of the content will be coming from this channel. And previously, I was in Germany. Me and my family were in Germany. And now we have relocated to Austin, Texas. And it's an adjustment, but I like it. And I say all of that because some of you may know my daughter. I have a 9-year-old. It's insanity to say that out loud. I have a 9-year-old daughter named Davini. And if any of you have ever met her, you know that she's a sweet girl, and she's got a soft heart, and she cares a lot. And she is one who believes in fairness and justice. And so this episode is inspired by her because this is her first year in American public school. She was in school in Germany, but then COVID and they shut things down and on and on and on. So this is her first year in American public school, and it has been a challenge for her because when we first moved here and school was about to start, and she was like, "Mommy, I'm nervous because what if I don't make any friends?" And I said, "Davini, you're a friendly person and you'll be fine. You'll make friends. You'll see." And so we prayed about it because she was very nervous, and she was like, "I don't know how to do it. I'm not, this is new. I'm kind of scared." And so we prayed, and leading up to August when they started, she was probably all the way up until July. She was nervous, and she was like, "I don't think I want to do it. I don't think I want to do it." And so we kept praying, and then all of a sudden she was excited. She was excited about school. She was excited to go. She wanted to ride the bus. She was all in. And so then she went to school, and on the first day she came back, she was like, "Mom, I made 12 friends." And the number kept growing and growing and growing. And then she started talking about she had some best friends. And if any of you know me very well, or a little bit, you know that I don't throw the word friend around a lot. It takes time for me to consider a person my friend. It takes some being there, and it takes some things. I'm friendly with a lot of people. But for me to say you're my friend, that's a big title for me to agree that you have. And so I wanted to be sure that I wasn't visiting my feelings onto her and making her view friendship from my point of view and my rigid standards. But I also didn't want her to be under the assumption that everybody is your friend. Because unfortunately, as we all know, as adults, and if we've been here, even now she knows, things can start out in a way and then end in another way, or go left and right on the journey. And so she's been experiencing some things. I won't get into too many specifics because, y'all, I did ask her if I could talk about this on here, and she gave me her, oh man, hold on. Had a bit of technical difficulty. But I did ask her permission. She gave me that and said that I could talk about this, use this as a springboard conversation. And so she has been having a little bit of difficulty with a couple of girls who she had said were her best friends. And it was little trivial things. You know how things are when you're young. Of course, thankfully, she's not a teenager, so it didn't have anything to do with anything really serious or maybe life-changing. But to her, it changed. It was hurting her feelings. And so the mama in me was like, listen, you don't need one of them girls, okay? If they don't think you're worth being their friend, you don't, and so I had to still get that point across, but I had to wrap it around in some different language. And so I was praying and I was like, God, how can I say this to her without turning her off from friendship, but also having her to be wise in the seeking of friends, because I didn't want her to just think that anybody could say and treat her any kind of way and she was obligated to stay their friend. So I told her what God gave me in prayer is that friendship is either the same thing as employment, right? Employment can either be at will or for cause. At will employment means either party can terminate the relationship without a reason being given. In other words, so these are your friends, and they can decide for no reason at all that I don't want to be your friend anymore. It can be a trivial situation. It can be something of substance. It can be a whim. I just don't want to now. You wore something I didn't like, or you didn't sit by me, or you didn't save my seed, or whatever. And now we're not friends. So I want to read this definition so that we know the two types of things that I'm going to be talking about today. So at will is essentially is normally used to refer to employment. So I'm going to read these and then I'll discuss it a little bit more about how God gave it to me to help. So at will employment refers to an arrangement in which employers have the right to terminate the employment of an employee at any time for almost any reason without an explanation, a reason, or any advance notice. The employee also has that right. Now, the other side of at will is for cause. And so for cause employment means, For cause employment is the opposite of at will. If your job is this type, you will only be fired by your employer if good cause exists. You may have for cause protection from certain statements or handbooks or contracts. You may also have protection by being a member of a union. So there are two types. of employment. I've had to learn the hard lesson, which I'm sure almost every woman has had to learn with friendships. Is this an at will or a for cause? And this is one of the reasons why when I begin to get close to someone or consider them, that I probably could be their friend, I have this conversation with them. It sounds super contractual and over the top and extra, but that's how I am about this certain thing. I don't make any apologies for it, because I want everyone to enter into this knowing what is expected and what isn't, what I view as friends and what I don't. And so I have the conversation and I say, I'm the type of person that this, and this. I expect you to tell me the truth. I want you to be honest with me. I'm not entering into a friendship so that you can only agree with me, because I am not only going to agree with you. I just ask that everything be done respectfully. So we have this conversation, and that's the way that we can proceed, everybody knowing what to expect. Because I think some of the problem that we have as adults in friendship is we loosely throw the word around and nobody has decided, because my idea of friendship may not be what yours is. Some people are people who, like, if you don't call me every day, if I don't text you every day, if we don't see each other once a week, then that's not considered friends to me. And this other people are, I don't ever have to talk to you. We've met, we like each other, we didn't have an argument, now we're friends. So there's so much that runs in between those two things that, for me, a conversation should be had leading up to, because I don't want to disappoint somebody. I don't want them to have an idea of friendship that I don't have. And then they say, well, what kind of friend are you? Or I feel like, what kind of friend are you? So I like to have the conversation. Of course, I do not expect my 9-year-old to have these types of conversation. But in prayer, I was like, God, what can I do? And I felt led to explain to her that people don't have to be your friend. This is at will. They can change their mind whenever they want to. You can change your mind whenever you want to. The problem with that, though, as adults, is sometimes there are people who don't appreciate good open conversation, a confrontation. And I don't mean a violent confrontation. Anytime you say something to someone is technically a confrontation. If there is a difference of opinion, that's probably going to have a confrontation. There's probably going to be one that follows. It doesn't have to be ugly or calling people out of their name. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. But I will ask for clarification. I will say, this is how I felt. I will say, I expected this or that, especially if you've had a pattern of behavior. Because one of the best indicators of future behavior is past behavior. And so if you've always been this type of way and then all of a sudden you change, I want to know why. And I would expect you to want to know why from me. And so I was explaining to her that the thing about being friends and saying it too fast is you don't know people. Because she was like, oh, this person is my best friend. Baby, you've been in school for 6 weeks. You don't know that child. And that child don't know you. So and then she's like, because I never would have thought she would have said that to me. But the problem is you didn't know her before you decided that she was your best friend. And she didn't know you. And I'm not naive enough to think that everybody who meets me loves me or doesn't have a problem with the way that I am or would prefer that I not be this, this, and this. I mean, we all have our preferences. We all have our, the way we would like for a thing to go. But we're human. We're dynamic. We're not static. So that means we change and things go back and forth, and we enter different seasons in our lives. So we can expect different things. But it's important that as adult women, teenagers, even the younger girls, that we have an understanding that at will friendship, you don't own me And if you begin to behave in a way that I find problematic, or that I can't, that is incongruent with how I live my life, we'll have that conversation. Because as the Bible says, how can we walk together if we don't agree? And so if you're doing something that I find fundamentally problematic with how I live my life, with what I believe, then we're going to have that conversation. I know I've been friends. How should I word this? I have been a friend to people who turned out not to be a friend to me. And we've had conversations, and I've asked and I've said, okay, so is there a problem? What is it? Responses have been, oh no, you're right. I need to do better, blah, blah. And to this day, I don't hear from them. But the last conversation we had was, yeah, I'm going to do better. And then nothing. And so I've had to come to understand that they're at will friendships. And they didn't want to anymore. They decided that for whatever reason, we didn't argue, we didn't fall out, we didn't, there was nothing like that. I just don't hear from them anymore. I've reached out and it just isn't. And so I've had to understand that they don't want to. And it could have absolutely nothing to do with me, and it could have something to do with me. Once I have reached out, excuse me, and sidebar, Texas and Cedar do not agree with me. Maybe we'll do a story time about that one time. We'll get back to the subject at hand. But that's what this coughing and all this is about. But it may have been something that I did, even though I asked and they said no. Once, and this is what I was saying to Davini, once you have asked, or once you have known that there's nothing that you need to apologize for, that you didn't hurt their feelings, that it wasn't something that you did, and they don't want to be friends with you, it's something that we have to just accept. It hurts because you invest, you get involved, you want to have this relationship, and then you realize, oh, that's not what this was. Because for me, I'm a for cause type of person. It's got to be for a reason. I'm not just going to up and throw you away. I'm not going to just up and say, child, I don't feel like talking to you no more. There has to have been an egregious offense, like something that you did. Because remember, I'm the one that has the conversations up front first. So once we've laid those things out and we agree that, yeah, we want to invest time with each other, we want to be friends, then the only way that it ends is for cause. There's a reason. You blatantly lied, or, you behaved in such a way that I can't see past. Now, this is what I need y'all to understand. Because I've heard this going around, and I've heard it a lot, that God says we have to forgive and forget. He never said that. He never said that. He said forgive. He forgets. He didn't put that on us to forget, thankfully. But my forgiving you doesn't mean that I have to go back and allow you to do the same thing to me. If I find out that you're a thief and you've been stealing out of my purse, once you apologize and I forgive you, I'm never leaving my purse around you unattended. No thanks. And it's not because I didn't forgive you. It's because you've broken trust. And now I'll just take my purse with me everywhere I go. Thanks. It doesn't mean I didn't forgive. It doesn't mean that when you apologize, that I said, okay, I forgive you, but no, I really didn't, and I'm holding a grudge. See, I'm not going to hold a grudge. I'm not going to do any of that. But if you've shown me that this is who you are, that's who you are until you are not that anymore. And this is something that my daughter's like, well, Ma, I can't say that I forgive her and then not be her friend. I said, Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because if she's going to continue to talk ugly about you, if she's going to continue to sideline you, put you on the bench at any given time because she just, there's somebody more popular or somebody more whatever at the moment, that's who she is. We're beginning to see a pattern, and this is something that she does and she goes back to. You don't have to accept that. And that's what I want us to really get. In this world where making friends is hard, especially nowadays, we have, so many things going on. We have kids, we have spouses, we have work, we have church, we have community events and involvement. We've got parents that are getting older, so they require a different type of involvement from us. We got so much, right? So that if I'm going to invest time if I'm going to take time from any of the other things that I have going on in my life, I want it to be a good investment. And this is what I was saying to Davini, that it's hard. It is hard to know initially if this is worth the investment. So there's a part of you that you're going to just invest anyway that requires vulnerability. I got that because my talk at the beginning has not ever proven that this is going to stay a friendship forever. It hasn't, but at least I know that the expectations were set, and I made it known the type of person that I am. And I've lived up to that. So it's important that if we want friends, right? Because some people just don't want friends. I've learned that too. Everybody doesn't want to be a friend. Some people want friends, but don't want to be a friend. It doesn't work that way. How do I know? One of the ways I know is because the Bible says if you want friends, you got to show yourself friendly. So that's the initial expectation. But the other expectation is just behavior, just response, just what I see, just conversation, all of that plays a part. And so I just wanted to come on and kind of broach this subject that you can't hold me hostage and make me your friend. Make me be what you want me to be. Because there are some people like, oh, if you have the conversation and you're like, well, the friendship isn't really going to work. We're too different. You believe and practice some things that are just not okay with me. And then there are some people, because of that, may respond with, no, you're going to stay being my friend because you're a good person. You're not a bad person if you decide for cause that this relationship cannot go on. You have to stick to your standard. You have to be, at the end of each day, I want to be able to put my head on the pillow and be like, I was true to myself. I was true to what I believe. I was true to who God made me. I don't want to compromise those areas. I'm not saying that there aren't times when you have to give and take a little, but the fundamentals, your belief system, your core, yeah, that's who I am. And at the end of the day, I want to be able to say, okay, I'm pleased with how my behavior was, and I want God to be pleased with my behavior, with what I did, with what I said. And that's been a lesson that is ongoing for my daughter and for me. It's interesting that women, in my experience, seem to have these issues more than men. And I was like, what is it about men that they usually don't have this kind of thing? It's men don't, in my experience, the men in my life that I've met and known, they don't really fall out with friends. They're usually friends and they stay friends. And I'm like, what is it about us? And I believe some of it is expectation. We invest so much without an expectation being set. Whereas men, they have different needs for friendship. They have different criteria. And so I know a lot of them, broadly speaking, okay, I'm not saying this about everybody, but our makeup is just different. And so what we want out of friendship, what we appreciate, what we need, is often different. But I said, God, you know what? I have to still believe that it's possible for me to have good friends. That I can create, with his help, a group of women that will be the iron that sharpens my iron, that will help me be accountable, that will laugh and want to have fun, and all of those things. It has to be out there. And so I just want to encourage anybody who's dealing with a difficult time of maybe you've relocated, or maybe now, another issue that can happen is the timing of what's going on. Like at my age, most women have teenage to adult children. I have a 9-year-old. So I'm at a different place. And so some of the problem is just generational. Like some of the moms of Davany's friends are 10 or more years younger than me. So we are just at a different place. We see things differently. There can be all types of reasons why. But don't let it be that you are an at-will type of person trying to be friends with a for-cause kind of person and not letting them know, or vice versa, because that can be problematic. You both have different ways of approaching friendship. So let me know in the comments if you think that my expectation talk, if you would be open to having those kind of conversations, or are you a person who kind of goes along with the flow, and if we're friends, we're friends, if we're not, we're not, and that's fine, because I'm that person too. It's just none of us is meant to live life completely alone. And there's a place for your husband and your parents and all of that, but a peer that that you can bounce ideas off of, or call when whatever, or not call, or text, or be like, girl, and or they can pick you up in the spirit and be like, I need to pray for my friend, something's going on. That type of friendship is what I want, and I'm believing God for it. Are you believing God for a good friend? If so, I believe it'll happen for you. I'll be praying for you. You be praying for me. And let's pray for our little girls. And boys too. I just can't speak to that because I only have a little girl. I don't. But I do know, based on my job now working with kids, that boys want friends too. It just seems to be easier for them, and less problematic. They might fall out for a minute, but if there's a Pokemon card or a Minecraft or whatever, it seems like they right back in it. So let me know your thoughts about at will and for a cause friendships. And let's endeavor, most of all, to be the best us, so that whenever that person who needs us comes around that can benefit from our friendship, let's be willing to give it. Let's not be so jaded that we are unwilling to give it another shot, because somebody deserves to know you. Somebody deserves to see all it is that God has put in you, benefit from your skill set, from your knowledge, your wisdom, your sense of humor, your ability to organize, whatever it is that you're good at. Somebody needs to experience it. And so that's all I've got for today. I'll get back into the swing of things. I'm going to try and figure out the best time to record and all of that stuff. But I'm back. We're back, and I'm praying and hoping that these topics and conversations will benefit you, and that you have them with other people. your circle of influence, if it's your children, your teenagers, your friends, no matter who. If you think this will benefit somebody, please share it. And I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. I love you so much. Bye.